welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. I have just seen Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which could have been called Knuckles the Echidna in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, or Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Knuckles, or Sonic and Knuckles, or any number of other things that could have played with that. But no, it's just Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now here's the thing, I'm going to get done with the easy stuff before we get into the spoilery territory. Quick and easy stuff, everyone seems to be having a good time in this movie. Like, Jim Carrey, is great. Again, he was great the first time, he's great here. It's just, it's kind of like he's found his groove as his character, and he does it well. And look, you got, what's his name? James Marsden does a great job. Tika Sumpter does a great job. Again, Colleen O'Shaughnessy, reprising from the games, does what she's done well for the last 20 years. I mean, Idris Elba really having fun as Knuckles. It's all around, on that level great. But I want to use this as an opportunity to talk about, how much is too much? Because I feel like this isn't the first time we've had this conversation regarding a movie. And the thing is, the first time it was Aquaman. Like, with Aquaman, they didn't know they were getting an Aquaman 2. So they're like, fuck it, let's put all the Aquaman we possibly can into this movie. So it's like we get Atlantis, we get Orm, we get Black Manta, not just Black Manta, like a pre-Black Manta. We get Black Manta getting his suit, we get the origin of Atlantis, we get Atlanta, we get, there's so much shit crammed into that Aquaman movie. Good for them for accomplishing that, but it's just, holy fuck, it's a lot of movie. And I think we can argue there's a similar thing going on here, where it's just a lot of movie. It is a ton of, what's what I'm looking for here? Asshole from New Jersey, typical. There's just a lot of, things that happen here and keep the movie, the first movie didn't really do a lot to establish lore, because the first movie is about Sonic coming to the real world, quote unquote, encountering Robotnik in the real world, and, Robotnik wanting to take his power for his own and use that to take over the world. And it's like, okay, cool. Easy concept, very little lore to build in, it's very straightforward, very simple. Then, in this movie, there's a fuck ton more. There's a lot, and I'm going to spoil a lot of the stuff that comes in this movie. So if you don't want to hear it, you kind of gotta, not listen to this. But, bringing in, the Master Emerald we saw in the trailer, the Eggman, I think it's the Egg Smasher, all of these things that, are from the games, bringing them in this role, it's a lot. It's a lot to introduce and be like, oh, so we're doing all of this now. To sit there and be like, especially when you go from the first movie that was kind of grounded, and then go from that to this, and be like, oh, now we're building into this lore that there's very obviously a cliff in Sonic where it's kind of like, how Star Wars fans get the bad reputation for being, falling down the rabbit hole of Star Wars for the extended universe. As a Star Wars fan, I feel like the rabbit hole you can fall down for the extended universe of Star Wars is not as bad as the Sonic rabbit hole. The Sonic rabbit hole goes deep, it goes weird places, and it is something else. I don't know what it is about Sonic that attracts that, but it does, and it's just, it's a lot. And right now they're kind of at the edge of the weirdness. They are towing the line with the weirdness, where it's like we are at the point where, like, we get the introduction of the Master Emerald, and Knuckles is coming in now, and, you know, all this other stuff is coming in and being like, I love it when people behind me will go into oncoming traffic to get into the turn lane and then keep me from turning into where I'm trying to turn. Like, these are all things that are huge moving parts of, of Sonic, and like the Chaos Emeralds and all of this stuff. And, you know, the Chaos Emeralds, what they weren't really fleshed out. If I remember my Sonic history correctly, they were not fleshed out in Sonic the Hedgehog. They don't get fleshed out until, I want to say, Sonic Adventure. Like, what the Chaos Emeralds do, how they work, what they're from, and what's going on. And the thing is, too, this movie is building in the arrival of Chaos. Like, that's the thing. Like, at one point in the movie, the Master Emerald shatters, and, you know, as that may provide the plot point for Knuckles', you know, stories for 2 fucking games where you're just looking around for the fucking Master Emerald pieces. Like, that's all well and good, but the thing is, it's like, you know, the other big thing that comes from that is Master Emerald gets broken, that's where Chaos comes from. And the post-credit tag, nice. The post-credit tag leans into, like, you know, introducing Shadow. And in a way where it's like, oh, so Shadow is here and Shadow's going... Like, that's the thing. We get Super Sonic in this movie, which is cool and all of that. And, God, I hope to God that if they do, the other Super characters in this... Because, like, in Sonic Adventure 2, there was Super Sonic and Hyper Shadow, but there was also, like, you know, in Heroes, at the end, there's Super Sonic, and then there's, like, Tails and Knuckles, but they don't get alternate, like, designs. It's just kind of them in an orb of yellow aura. Hopefully, if they do that in a future movie, they do the designs from the comics, which are, like, you know, Hyper Knuckles, I think it was called, where he's, like, a pinkish color. Like, so it at least looks different. I hope they lean into that a little bit, but we do get Super Sonic in this movie. It's like a Sonic the Hedgehog fan's wet dream, I think would be the nicest way to describe this movie. Like, you know, certain Sonic the Hedgehog fans, I'm not going to say all Sonic the Hedgehog fans will be thrilled by it, but there's a lot of really cool stuff that gets done in this movie, and a lot of things that, like, you know, as someone who, you know, grew up playing the games, and then kind of fell off around the time that Sonic 06 came out, you know, partially because Sonic 06 sucked, but I never played it, but I didn't have an Xbox when it came out. But by that time, I had already fallen off a little bit. I think the last game I played, you know, all the way through, probably was, you know, Heroes, Sonic Heroes. But to see these things kind of play in and get writ large on the screen, it's cool. I'm all for it. It would be better, I think, if they were not, like, if they didn't, it seems like they're kind of going movie to movie, where it's like, we have this movie now, this movie's getting made, and because we're making this movie, we are going to do what we can here. We don't know if we're getting another one. I think that, as a viewer, I would be happier if this movie didn't do well, and then we didn't get the sequel, but the things weren't completely, you know, everything exposited for this one movie. Like, I don't think we need the Chaos Emeralds and all of that exposited to the degree they are in this movie. I don't think we need all of that to happen here. I think the Chaos Emeralds appear, and the thing is, I don't recall. Maybe it's just my Sonic history is not quite what I thought it was, but I don't recall the Chaos Emeralds being part of the Master Emerald. The way I recall it, and I could be completely wrong. I mean, it could be they developed something new for this movie. I seem to recall the Chaos Emeralds being independent entities that were controlled by the Master Emerald, because I seem to recall Knuckles and Tikal having that dumb thing where it's like the servers are the 7 Chaos, and it's like, you know, and it's like they are controlled by the Master, and that's, that is what it was, and that's why the Master Emerald was. I don't remember. There's a lot that goes into it. Maybe that was the lore in Sonic. In Sonic Adventure. I haven't played Sonic Adventure and paid attention to cutscenes in close to 10 years. Maybe I'll go back and do that. Maybe I should have done that, because it feels like that's what they're pulling from a lot of this lore. And I'm okay with that. It would be cool if, they focused on making a good movie, though. A good, cohesive product that, tells the story to the greatest degree. That said, the way I felt at the end of Rogue One with the, when they were showing, after Vader sliced through and the Tantive 4 flies away, and they bring the plans to Leia, and it's like, oh, they're going directly into A New Hope. Or watching The Post, and The Post ending with the security guard going through the Watergate Hotel and finding the break-in, leading directly into All the President's Men. I know it sounds like I'm overselling the moment, but, they show, the lead-in to, oh, and here's Shadow in the government facility, and now they will break him out. And I think the sequel can go pretty easily. The sequel can be, Chaos gets unleashed, as part of the Master Emerald breaking, and now, in an effort to stop that, Robotnik goes to, break Shadow out. And it's Shadow's going to be the thing that's going to stop, Chaos from, taking over. It's an interesting kind of thing. I'm all for it. I mean, I'm all for the exploration of this world. I'm all for the, maybe if the movie can do a better job of making the comics and stuff seem cooler, I'd be okay with that. I think that, maybe they can do with the Sonic movies what the Star Wars TV has done for Star Wars, books and comics, where it's oh, here are cool things that are from the comics and the TV shows that you probably never heard of. How many people besides, me and the other people who read Afra, knew who Black Chrysanthemum was before, Book of Boba Fett introduced them? Or how many people cared about Cad Bane before, Book of Boba Fett introduced them? I mean, besides people who watched the Clone Wars, and it's reaching a wider audience now. And maybe that'll happen here, and that would be great. Although, apparently there's some discrepancy over ownership of stuff in the comics, which, I mean, it's work for hire. I feel like we had this conversation back with, Brubaker's comments regarding Marvel, and it's oh, well, they're using the character I created in the thing, and it's well, you were doing work for hire at the time, so, you signed that away. I don't know. It's look, you should compensate your writers and artists, but at the same time, there is a line where it's look, they don't have to do anything because they have no legal obligation to. So, I don't know what the right answer is, but I feel like the one I just gave is not it. I don't know. I feel like there's, we covered a lot here, but it's a perfectly fine movie. I think the biggest problem with the movie is that it's not going to convert anyone new to the franchise. And I think that's a major thing that needs to be done with movies like this. It is important for them to bring new people in and get new people to see it. And it's look, I think the trailers are doing a good enough job of being oh, and here are things that you will recognize from your childhood. Here is Knuckles, and here is Tails, and here is a giant Eggman robot that looks vaguely like him. And, here is, the Master Emerald being a big part of this story, and this motherfucker next to me has a fucking radio at max. How fucking rude is it? If your radio is that loud, how fucking rude are you? If it's vibrating my car, and you are next to me, and the cars are not adjacent, your radio is too fucking loud. Anyway, the idea is, I think that once people get there, I don't think this movie's going to convert anyone and make anyone be oh, I'm going to, I enjoyed this, I'm going to look into this further. In the same way that, The Force Awakens, for its faults and for how people look back on it now, at the time, kind of rekindled the love affair with Star Wars. I don't think that Sonic 2 is going to rekindle anyone's affection for Sonic. I think if they liked Sonic, they will continue to like Sonic. I don't think you're going to get anyone who's going to watch this movie and then not like Sonic. But at the same time, I think that there's not enough here to get someone who isn't already deeply into the product to be like, oh, okay, we're going to continue this now and explore further, or get a casual fan to go deeper than they already did. It will be interesting though. I'm interested to see how comic sales are affected by this. I think they're at Dark Horse now. They used to be at Archie, but now they're at Dark Horse. And the thing is too, it's like to say that all of a sudden this is not going to fix any problems. It's like the franchise has been on life support for a very long time, and the most successful venture for Sega having to do with Sonic in recent history is Sonic the first movie. Like, the first Sonic movie is the most successful business venture. That was me, huh? Because someone just turned out in front of me instead of waiting for a big gap behind me. The first Sonic movie was the most successful business venture for Sega regarding the character in a long time, because it's not like the games have really set the world on fire. Like, the last Sonic game I played, I think, was Sonic Dash, and that's on your phone, and it's a temple runner game. Anyone else remember Temple Run? It's actually, they still update Temple Run 2 every once in a while. It's pretty fun. And I still play it every once in a while. It is an interesting kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? It is an interesting experiment, though. I do like this idea of bringing these weirder concepts to general audience consciousness. And look, as a lifelong fan, it just to see a live-action Supersonic, it's worth the price of admission. That alone will make it worth your time to watch. So we will wrap up there for today. We'll be back with, I might be seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once tomorrow, but that will be dependent on if A-List refreshes properly after, because last week I saw The Contractor on Saturday, and if that gets, that's the thing, is it's a week, so it's 7 days, so hopefully it clears up. If not, that'll probably be Sunday. And then, what else is there? So there's that, and then there is Moon Knight Episode 3. The Flash tomorrow morning. I'm going to watch The Flash tonight. So tomorrow morning we're going to have The Flash Episode 10, I think, of this season. So that'll be cool to see how that continues. So we'll wrap up there for today. So until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.